Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Ralf Rangnick will improve Manchester United. I think Rangnick will get the best out of these group of players. He's good at developing young players. He will suit the strappings of the club, and I think Ralf Rangnick could be capable of winning trophies. He's got a decent CV. You know, he won the German Cup with Schalke in 2011. He also got Schalke to the semi-finals of the Champions League. And he got RB Leipzig to the final in 2019 when he was there. At the moment, he's the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Manchester United are close to appointing Ralf Rangnick as interim manager on a 6-month contract. So he's the replacement for Solskjaer. Rangnick will not be in charge for the game against Chelsea, as he's waiting for his work permit. So reflecting on that, Michael Carrick will be in charge for the game against Chelsea. Michael Carrick won his first game as the interim manager because Manchester United recently beat Villarreal 2-0. And reflecting on the win against Villarreal, Manchester United qualified for the knockout stages of the Champions League with still one game to spare in the group. I give Michael Carrick a lot of credit in that game against Villarreal because I thought Michael Carrick's game plan was correct and his substitutions were correct. Manchester United are looking to appoint a permanent manager at the end of the season, and I think there's a good chance that Pochettino will come in at the end of the season. Pochettino is Manchester United's number one choice. Fabrizio Romano confirmed that earlier on this week. Yesterday, PSG rejected Manchester United's approach to appoint Mauricio Pochettino. Prior to PSG's game against Man City, Pochettino came out and said that he's happy at PSG and he won't let the Man United rumours distract him. But revert back to earlier on this week, it did say that, Pochettino is interested in the Man United job. And the Manchester Evening News came out and said that Man United are confident of appointing Mauricio Pochettino as their next permanent manager, and it did also say that Man United agreed to pay the 10 million compensation fee. Pochettino has a full season left on his PSG contract. Revert back to when Mourinho got sacked. Manchester United should have got Pochettino then, but obviously the club decided to go with Solskjaer instead. He's a good manager, Pochettino, even though he's hardly won anything. I think he has won a trophy at PSG. He's proven in the Premier League as well, which is beneficial. Because before he managed Tottenham, He endured 5.5 years at Tottenham. Analysing the vast majority of his tenure when he was at Tottenham, Tottenham were competing in and out of the top 4. He nearly won the league at Tottenham, and he also got Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final back in 2018. And he managed Southampton before. He only enjoyed a short tenure at Southampton, but he guided Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. So they're the clubs he's managed in the league so far, and before he managed Espanyol. There's been quite a few managers though that have been linked with the permanent role at Man United. Obviously at one point Zidane was linked with a managerial role at Man United. At one point it said he was interested, and then it came out and said that his wife was not attracted to the idea of living in Manchester. Recently though, it said Zidane was not interested in taking over at Man United, as he doesn't feel ready for the Premier League at the moment. Zidane's obviously been talking with PSG. Brendan Rodgers, he's been spoken a lot about, but I disregarded him coming because not so long ago Rodgers dismissed the links to Man United. Rodgers said, "I'm proud to be at Leicester." But Rodgers has been contacted by Man United. The other week, reports were saying that Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire, so that stirred some suggestions up, and at that point it said Rodgers was the favourite to replace Ole. Erik ten Hag, he's been spoken a lot about. I heard he's Man United's second choice. Erik ten Hag has done a really good job at Ajax. He's won trophies at Ajax. I like the way he develops young players, and he's been Ajax manager for 4 years. So there you go. Manchester United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. Obviously, we sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Man United finished 7th under the David Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Moyes is one of the worst managers we've ever had. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years despite him winning the FA Cup. We sacked Mourinho after 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United because he did win 3 trophies in his first season. And of course, last Sunday morning, Solskjaer was officially sacked by Manchester United following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. Don't forget, Solskjaer did give a farewell interview, and he got emotional in that farewell interview. Manchester United certainly made the right decision sacking Solskjaer, because I knew for a long time that he wasn't the long-term manager for Man United. I don't think the club really wanted to sack Solskjaer, but the club in the end were left with no choice. Despite Manchester United sacking Solskjaer last Sunday morning, Man United fans still adore Solskjaer. Reflecting on what he's done for the club. And Solskjaer is a legend of the club, and he always will be a legend of the club. Manchester United paid Solskjaer around $7.5 million because last summer he signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year, and Manchester United should have never give Solskjaer that contract. So that was a bad mistake from the club. I'm surprised Solskjaer lasted as long as he did. But the reason he lasted as long as he did is because he's a legend of the club. Disregarding him being a legend of the club, I can assure he would have been sacked a while ago. Solskjaer was Manchester United manager for almost 3 years. And, he endured 2 full seasons, didn't he? And this season was his 3rd full season at Man United. And I did say at the start of this season that this season was going to be massive for Solskjaer, and obviously the pressure was on Solskjaer at the start of this season, obviously reflecting on the summer transfer window Man United had this year. Man United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year, made 4 signings. 3 of the 4 signings were major signings, and Man United spent around £141 million. And plus, the board backed Solskjaer, the Glazers backed him, John Murtough backed him, Ed Woodward backed him, and Darren Fletcher backed him. So reflecting on that, Solskjaer ran out of excuses. Ollie endured like 5 transfer windows when he was United manager. But reflecting on the poor performances under Solskjaer, not all of the blame stemmed from Ollie. Yes, Ollie was accountable for certain things, his tactics and his team selections were questioned a lot. But there was also players that had to take responsibility for those poor performances as well. Reflecting on that defeat to Watford last weekend, Man United have lost 5 of their last 7 in the league. Solskjaer did not win a trophy as Manchester United manager. And I said he was never capable of winning trophies as Man United manager. Man United have not won a trophy since 2017. But the expectations were far too high for Ollie to exceed as Man United manager, and he certainly lowered the standards at the club when he was manager, and Ollie was in a position that he shouldn't have really been in. Ollie knew when he got appointed in as United manager that it was going to be a massive job and a difficult job, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. Because obviously Ollie was managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. When Ollie was United manager, obviously he was inheriting players who other managers, of course, have brought in. You've obviously got Jones and De Gea that are still here from the Ferguson era. You've got Mata that's still here from the Moyes era. There's still some players here from the Louis van Gaal era, but not many. And there's still quite a few players here who Jose Mourinho brought in. Now, obviously, Ralf Rangnick, he'll be inheriting players, who obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that brought in. But Solskjaer, yes, he did get appointed in as caretaker manager back in December 2018. In his first 3 months, he was the caretaker manager. He did very, very well as the caretaker manager. He won nearly every game, so reflecting on that, the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. And there was positives to take from Solskjaer's managerial tenure. I think Solskjaer did develop the young players well. He more or less given everybody their chances to express themselves, like he showed he would do when he did get appointed in. I also think that Ollie did make good signings as Manchester United manager. When Ollie was United manager, he signed 14 players. Man United spent over £400 million under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. Some progress was made under Ollie, because as you all know, Ollie did get us to semi-finals. He got us to 3 semi-finals in his first full season. In his second full season, he got us to the semi-finals of the EFL Cup, and he got us to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, and he got us to the Europa League final, and that was his first major final when he was United manager, but unfortunately he didn't win it, so there you go. And Ollie got us a second place finish last season, and in his first full season he got us a third place finish. And when we had Solskjaer as well, Manchester United went 29 games unbeaten away from home in the Premier League. Under Solskjaer, we was far superior away from home than we was at home. And when Solskjaer was United manager, he also got rid of a lot of players, which obviously he knew he had to do. He loaned players out, and he also got rid of a lot of players permanently. And in certain aspects he did bring consistency back, so they are the positives you can take. Manchester United have not been the same team since Ferguson retired. A lot of United fans predicted it was all going to go wrong when Ferguson retired, which obviously it has done. Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time. Ferguson brought success to Manchester United. He won 30 odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. So that just tells you that it takes some managers time to settle in. Manchester United had Ferguson for around 26 or was it 27 years. The only mistake Ferguson made was recommending David Moyes in when he retired, but the reasons he did that is because they're both Scottish, and obviously Ferguson seems to have a lot of time for David Moyes. Manchester United must have brought a good 40 odd players in now since Ferguson retired, and Man United must have spent over £1 billion. Players are going to be leaving Manchester United next year. Lingard, I think he's definitely leaving next year, because not so long ago he said Jesse Lingard's future at Man United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. Lingard's current contract at Man United expires next summer. He said not so long ago that Lingard could leave the club for just £10 million. Lingard doesn't really get in the team, does he? He's only made one start this season. That was West Ham in the Carabao Cup. Lingard though has been part of Manchester United for a long time. He risen up our academy in that. He's had his good periods at United. He's also had his bad periods. I'm hearing that West Ham want to re-sign him. Well, at the second half of last season, Lingard endured a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and made an impact. I heard as well that Lingard wants to go abroad. Mata, I think he's also leaving the club next year. Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer. Earlier on this year, Mata signed a 1-year contract extension. I can't understand why we extended his contract for the further year, Juan Mata, because Juan Mata doesn't get in the team, and plus he's lost that yard of pace and he's ageing up. But despite that, Juan Mata has had a good career at Man United. He's made over 200 appearances in all competitions, and he's scored over 50 goals. We got Juan Mata back in 2014 from Chelsea for 40 million. Cavani, I think he's also leaving the football club next year. Cavani initially lost his place in the team, obviously with Man United re-signing Ronaldo last summer. He's a good player though, Cavani. He's out with injury at the moment. He's out until December. Cavani had injury earlier on this season. He's got under a year left on his Man United contract. Back in May, Cavani signed that 1-year contract extension. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer. This season is Cavani's second full season at the club. Martial, I think he's also leaving the club next year. Martial doesn't really get in the team, but surprisingly enough, he started on the left-hand side against Villarreal recently. Martial come back from injury not so long ago, and he's no longer good enough to represent the club. He's only enjoyed one good season at Man United, and that was his debut season under the Louis van Gaal era. Martial's been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract. You know, we got him in a deal worth 58 million from Monaco back in 2015. Sorry about scratching my head a lot, it's just bloody itching like that. And Van der Beek could still be leaving in January. Well, obviously, towards the end of Solskjaer's managerial tenure, Van der Beek did confirm that he will be leaving in January. But if Van der Beek from now was to get more chances, that could persuade him to stay. Van der Beek did start against Villarreal. He started in that number 10 ahead of Fernandes, and he put a very good performance out. Van der Beek also came on in the 4-1 defeat to Wolves and made an instant impact because he scored. That was only his second goal for the club. Manchester United got Van der Beek for 40 million with add-ons included. Man United paid like 35 million up front. You know, Van der Beek's got a contract with the club till 2025. There's an option of a further year. And he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. But I'd say Van der Beek's endured a difficult, 19 months at Man United. And this season is his second full season at the club. Nemanja Matic, there's a good chance that he's leaving next year as well. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities. Well, surprisingly enough, he's been ahead of Van der Beek in that midfield. Matic is the only predominant centre defensive mid we've got. I've always had my reservations about Matic, but you know, he has had his good games at United. He's been at Manchester United for 4.5 years now. Got him from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million. You know, I think Pogba, you know, he could be leaving next year as well, because it said earlier on this season that Man United are prepared to sell Paul Pogba in the January transfer window. Makes sense to cash in for him in January rather than let him go on a free next summer. Because Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Before the start of this season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. Pogba is missing the rest of 2021 because he's got a thigh injury. He suffered the thigh injury in France training earlier on in the season. Pogba may never play for the club again, like I've already mentioned. Dalot, I think there's a good chance he'll leave next year. You know, Diego Dalot doesn't really get in the team. You know, Dalot will only play when Bissaka's not available. Dalot's our backup right back to Bissaka, isn't he? But in some of the games Dalot's been involved in, I think he's done well. You know, last season he was out on loan with AC Milan, and reflecting on that, again some experience. We got Dalot 3 years ago from Porto. We paid £19 million for him. Dalot's got a contract with the club till 2023. Jones and Bailly, I think they're leaving next year as well because they don't really get in the team. Tellez, I think he could be leaving next year because Tellez doesn't get in the team a lot. You know, Tellez will only play when Luke Shaw's not available. Obviously, Tellez played against Villarreal ahead of Luke Shaw because Luke Shaw wasn't available because Luke Shaw has got a head injury. He got the head injury in the 4-1 defeat to Watford. And Tellez had injury earlier on this season. But the reason we brought Tellez in was to provide competition for Shaw. We got Tellez for like 15.4 million with add-ons included. And Dean Henderson, I think he's going out on loan next year. Well, Dean Henderson's already said he wants a loan move away from Man United because he doesn't get his chances, does he? Because De Gea reclaimed that #1 spot back. Henderson's only been in goal for one game so far this season. That was West Ham in the Cup. At one point, though, he was out with COVID for a while. At one point last season, Henderson got that #1 jersey and he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. So, there you go. On my next video, I will be giving you my predicted 11 for Manchester United's game against Chelsea. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.